In this tutorial, we'll be going through setting up a custom domain for an Azure App Service web application. So my domain name is hosted through Cloudflare, and I'll be using a web app within Azure App Service to point my domain name managed in Cloudflare to this web app. And I'll also get a HTTPS SSL certificate set up using the free Azure managed certificate. So we'll need to create a couple of different resources. We'll create a resource group, an app service plan, and a web app. So let's get started doing that now, and we'll go through this pretty quickly because I've covered this in a previous tutorial and YouTube video. You can access that via the YouTube channel or within the blog post, which I'll link in the description. So let's quickly create those resources now. So we'll create the resource group using the AZ group create command. From then we'll create the app service plan. And what we'll need to do with this app service plan, we can't use the free pricing tier. That doesn't support custom domains. So we need to make sure we use a paid pricing tier. So I'm going to be using the basic one, which is B1. So I'll create the app service plan now with an AZ app service plan create command. Okay, so it looks like that's created. So now we'll create the web application. Now for the web application, we'll be using a Nginx container image from Docker Hub. So let's use the AZ web app create command to create that web app within our resource group and within the app service plan we've just created. We're getting the image specified using the /i parameter. Okay, so that's been created. I'm going to get the host name by using the AZ web app list command, specifying the resource group and a query. For the query, I'll be asking for the name, the host name, and the state. So the name is just the name of the web app. The host name is the URL that's provided by Azure to access our web app. And the state, what's the current state? That's what the state's currently saying it's running. Let's grab that host name and put it in the browser and verify that it's working. And yes, we've got welcome to Nginx. And as you can see here, this is using the domain that's provided by Azure. And the traffic is currently not secure. It's over HTTP. So let's get our custom domain set up now. For this, we'll need to go into the Azure portal to do. And we'll need to go into the settings associated with the app service. So let's get a start on that now. In our resource group, we should refresh that in the Azure portal and see we've got this new resource group created. And from there, we should see we've got a Node app plan and a app service. So if we have a look at the app service plan, I just want to check that we are on the B1 pricing plan because we can't be using the free pricing plan for this. So that is correct. So from within the resource group, let's go to the app service. This is the web app service. So let's click on that now. And now to get the custom domain set up, we'll need to configure that under the settings section. So go to settings and go to custom domains. Okay, so let's add a custom domain. And we want to use a external domain provider because the domain that I'll be using is set up with Cloudflare as the domain provider. So we'll go all other domain services. For the TLS/SSL certificate, we want to get a free certificate provided by Azure, which is the App Service Managed Certificate. For the TLS SSL type, we'll be using SNI SSL. Now we'll need to enter the domain that we'll be using as the custom domain. So I've got a domain I'll use for this, which is sweskills.com. I've registered that through Cloudflare. And I don't want to use the www.sweskills.com. I want to use sweskills.com. So for the hostname record type, I'll be using the A record. And this is the information I'll need to put into DNS records on my domain in Cloudflare. So I'll need to copy these over. So we'll get to that soon. I'll just go into Cloudflare now and I'll go into the websites I've set up so I can find my domain. I'll just go into sweskills.com and I need to get to the DNS records. So I select DNS records here, or you can do that on the site as well, DNS, and select records. And now I'll need to create some new records here. So let's do that now. So I'll go add record. I need to create a record of type A, and I'll need to put some details in here. These won't be proxied because they need to be visible so that Azure can pull this information off the domain names. I'll specify the A record. It's got a host of @ and it's got an IP address of this. I'll just copy that over. Okay, so I'll save that. Next, I'll add another record, which is a TXT type of record. And let's pull that over from here. The host record is ASU ID. And the content value is this. Okay, so I'll save that. Okay, so this can be pretty quick to update because Cloudflare make that really easy. It's so widely used. But if using another domain provider, it might take quite a bit of time, like 5 minutes plus, can be 2 hours, can even be longer than 2 hours. So I'll wait a little bit for that. The next step will involve just validating that these records have been updated against the DNS records. So you might want to wait a little bit for that. Why don't I try that right now? Okay, so these records have been validated. Next, we'll select Add. And the next step is provisioning that Azure managed certificate for us, the SSL certificate. Azure's doing that for us right now. And yeah, this is a pretty good service. It's free, and they'll also auto-renew that for you in 6-month increments, which is really nice feature that they've provided for us. So it says here it can take up to 10 minutes for this to happen. So we just need to wait for that to finish. Okay, we can see an update here. We can see the SWE Skills custom domain is here, but its current status is no binding. So that certificate is still being provisioned and being set up and installed for sweskills.com in App Service. So we'll wait for that to complete and then we can test out our custom domain. So it looks like that's completed now. So I'd estimate that took about 15 minutes. Do your custom domain into a browser. So it's given us a HTTPS certificate, a TLS certificate. So that is all good. And we can see our Nginx container image here on the screen. So yep, that's adding a custom domain to an app service web app. So let's get rid of these resources now by deleting the resource group. And we'll say yes to that, and it'll delete those resources. So that's it for the tutorial on how to set up a custom domain on Azure App Service. Thanks for watching.